In that segment, we were talking about Michelle Obama and what happened with her. There she goes, hugged up with George Bush. George Bush, who was behind 9/11, who was behind several things that black people seem to not like, but they were able to forgive him really quick. So when you think about Michelle Obama, just remember that picture right there, Michelle Obama. And if you want to call me a coon, what would you call Michelle Obama? Look how she hold that man. Look how much smaller George Bush is than her. God, dog. It's a big woman. Woo. But hey, who knows? But anyway, guys, thank you guys for being a part of the show. The call-in lines are now closed, but we continue to open them up every now and again when needed. You guys enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me get back on the screen here. Get ready to go to the next topic of the show. The next topic of the show is something that I think that many of you guys heard about, and the story is pretty messed up. We talked about a story about a guy who threw a three-year-old, I think it was, off the third floor of the Mall of Georgia. Well, how many of you guys knew about an individual who threw a child off of a 60-foot bridge? And it wasn't a child, it was his child. Well, the man's name is John Johnchuk, and John Johnchuk, which is a wild-ass name, Florida jury on yesterday found this man guilty as sin and sentenced him to life in prison. But there's a caveat here. I'm going to tell you guys something, and I'm going to see if you guys agree with me or not. We're going to take a look at Mr. John's conviction. We're going to listen to the story that they have to say, and then I'm going to give you guys my opinion, and I'm going to see what you guys think about my thoughts on this case. And again, this man threw his own child off of a bridge, and the story is pretty damn crazy, because before it happened, officials were forewarned. Let's take a look.
Today, John Johnchuk, the man accused of throwing his 5-year-old daughter from a bridge in Tampa Bay in 2015, was found guilty of murder. The jury convicted the 29-year-old of first-degree murder today. During closing arguments, prosecutors said Johnchuk knew what he was doing when he dropped Phoebe 62 feet to her death. You know,
His child's name was Phoebe. He dropped her 62 feet to her death. Let me read this for you guys, and then I'm going to say something. Florida jury on Tuesday found the man guilty of first-degree murder for dropping his 5-year-old child off of a bridge about 4 years ago. The jurors of Clearwater, Florida, deliberated for about 7 hours, 7 hours over 2 days before they convicted John. John Johnchuk hugged his attorneys and said, "Yes, Your Honor," when asked if he understood the verdict carries an automatic life sentence. He was then fingerprinted and taken out of the courtroom by the bailiffs. No one disputed that John Johnchuk, who is 29 now, which means he was 25 at the time, dropped his daughter Phoebe 62 feet into Tampa Bay in January 2015, and that he had a long history of mental problems. Again, he had a long history of mental problems. I'm going to keep talking about that part for a second because I want you guys to understand. But again, he had a long history of mental problems. So a man with a long history of mental problems, hear me out. This man with this long history of mental problems has been sentenced to life in prison. A man with a long history of mental problems has been sentenced to life in prison. Now, prosecutors claim that his actions were premeditated, although the defense is trying to say, hey, he's got mental problems. That's not what we should be doing right now. Let's listen.
Disturbing story we've been following for you all morning long. Police confirm that they have arrested this man, a father, who they say threw his 5-year-old daughter over a bridge to her death. The father's unexplainable action.
You gotta listen for a second. How often did they refer to this man as the father? How often did they refer to this man as father? You'd have swore that he was over some kind of parish, the way they kept calling him a father. How many of you guys realize how deliberate that was? Come on, I I want to see how many of you guys realize how deliberate constantly calling him a father and having a big picture of him up there with the hashtag, with the title, Killer Father. Killer father. When's the last time you've seen the word killer mom? When's the last time you've seen the word killer mother?
Who they say threw his 5-year-old daughter over a bridge to her death.
The father's unexplainable actions came after a cop spotted him speeding at about 100 miles per hour.
The father's unexplainable.
With details on this tragic incident, Julia.
Sharon and Pam, a St. Petersburg police officer says it all started when he spotted that PT Cruiser speeding past him. Now, what he saw next is hard to understand. 25-year-old John Johnchuk Jr. is charged with first-degree murder.
I don't even know what's going through this guy's mind.
Chief Anthony Holloway says just after midnight, one of his St. Petersburg police officers saw Johnchuk pull over on a bridge and throw his 5-year-old daughter over the rail into Tampa Bay.
You pull a baby out and you just throw this baby away like it's nothing.
The officer scrambled to find the young girl who dropped 62 feet into dark waters below.
All the officer did was go to the bridge, try to locate the child, saw where he could get down to the water, and when he called out the radio, the car drove away.
Rescuers and fishermen tried to help too, but it was too late.
Heartbroken. Out there looking around in the dark going, I mean, we hit a couple of high bars looking as fast as we could to try and save somebody, but nothing you could do.
It would take crews more than an hour and a half to find Phoebe Johnchuk. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police caught up with her father and arrested him. Now, besides first-degree murder, Johnchuk is also charged with aggravated fleeing and eluding and aggravated assault with a motor vehicle on a law enforcement officer. Police are trying to figure out what would make him do that. Live in the studio, Julia Bagg, NBC 6 South Florida.
Okay.
First off, we need to talk about this a little bit. We all know that Florida's America's dick. If you look at the map, you see it. It's a dick. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in Florida. But I want to say this to you. If you go look up her name, Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates drowned not one, not two, not three. She did LeBron James better than LeBron James. Not 4, but 5 of her children. Called them all in the room and drowned them. And the first question was asked was her mental state. Yet this man at 24 years old, who obviously must have been crazy than a motherfucker, who threw his damn kid off of a bridge, was never given that idea. He was guilty from day one. He was a horrible person from day one. And it never changed. When's the last time you heard, and how many years have many of you, because, and that's what I love about so many of you have listened so many years. I can't say something and then you call out, well, no, you are trying to make that up today. You never said that before. How many times have I said to you guys, you never hear them, you never hear of a man killing his children and getting off because of his mental state. You never hear a man getting off because of his mental state based on what he did. And since prosecutors claim that his actions were premeditated, and Assistant State Attorney Paul Bolin told jurors that Johnchuk was motivated by anger over worries that Phoebe's mother was going to take the girl away from him and his own mother's doting attention to his granddaughter when she had been inattentive to him growing up. Now, Michelle Obama says men are horrible parents. Kids don't want to be there. Then you got to hear the prosecutor say, he was just worried that she wasn't going to let him see it. He was worried that his baby mama wasn't going to let him see the kid. Old punk. Maybe we should pay attention to the wording and the fact that they're saying when a man has his child removed from him, he's still the same person. A child that he loved, a child that he had, a child that he doted over, a child that he tried to give everything to, a child that many of these men were living for. They're saying when you go through a divorce, or if the woman that you had the kid with just decides to not let you see your kid, shut up and take it. was rage that drove him to the top of that bridge, Bolden said. Did he know what he was doing? Did he know it was wrong? The answer is clearly yes. So what the fuck was it that made that woman chop her kid's neck off and stick it in the freezer for years? So what the fuck was it that made that black woman drive around with her son in the back of the car for 10 years? But every one of these situations, we try to look at what's wrong with the woman. What the fuck motivated the Anthony woman, Casey Anthony? What motivated her? Y'all don't seem too bothered that she's free. And nobody's going to stop her from procreating. What was that? Is it anger that these women are telling lies on these men and saying they've been raped? Is it anger that these women are keeping their children from the father? What are those? You don't call those anything. It's amazing, isn't it? His delusions led him to believe Phoebe was possessed, is what the defense attorney said, and that the archangel Michael was coming. Manuel said that he poured salt outside of her window to keep spirits away from her, she said. Guys, if this stuff was happening, if you were on the jury, would you not see this man as a nutcase? A 24-year-old man drove out in the middle of the night and threw a 5-year-old off of a fucking bridge. A 24-year-old was going, 25-year-old was going around putting salt around his child's window because he felt like a spirit was coming after him. And, oh, there's a little bit more. How about this? 12 hours after Phoebe's death, John Chuck's divorce lawyer, Genevieve Torres, called a state protection hotline, fearing for the girl's safety. Torres told the Department of Children and Families operator that John Chuck had driven to 3 churches in his pajamas with Phoebe in tow that morning, called Torres God, and asked her to translate his stepdaughter's century-old Swedish Bible, which he carried and had become obsessed with. John Chuck was also paranoid that Phoebe wasn't his child. But the operator thought that the attorney was more worried about John Chuck's safety than the girls, and didn't report it to the authorities. This man is clearly mentally ill, and the divorce lawyer called the state asking for help, and do you hear what they said? They refused to help because they thought she was more worried about the man than the kid. So as long as the man was in trouble, they didn't give a shit. I'm sorry, guys. Shouldn't the state be on trial right after his trial? Shouldn't the state be on trial right after his trial? You were forewarned of what was happening, and you refused to report it, which is your fucking job, to just simply push the paper on up. Your job is a paper pusher. You decided to not push the paper up, and within 12 hours, that same kid that you were warned about was in trouble, was dead. Because you thought the person who called you, who was the divorce lawyer, cared more about the man than about the kid. Well, maybe you should realize something, you dumb bitch. Who's ever in custody of a child at that moment, their mental status is important, because if they're in trouble, that child is in trouble. Can I get an amen? Just after midnight the next day, John Chuck's PT Cruiser raced past Officer William Vickers, who was heading home from a shift in his patrol car. He started following John Chuck, but never got close enough to read the license plate and didn't know Phoebe was inside, because nobody knew Phoebe was in trouble. As they reached the bridge crest, John Chuck stopped and got out. Vickers, fearing for an ambush, stopped behind him, pulled his gun, and yelled at John Chuck. to show his hands. He saw no weapon. John Chuck yelled at the officer, You have no free will. He then grabbed Phoebe from the back seat, held her over the side momentarily, and then dropped her, according to the police accounts. John Chuck drove off, but was soon arrested. Vickers scrambled down a ladder, down to the dock, below the bridge. Couldn't see Phoebe in the dark water. The Marine rescue boat was summoned. The body was found hours later. Oh, this is going to go back to what I was talking about at the beginning, what happened in Charlotte. Cop saw a white man on the bridge after driving past him at 100 miles an hour, gets out and yells at the cop before he grabs the girl. Cop has his gun out, and if the cop had done what anybody else had done, cop would have shot him. If there was a black man on that bridge and drove past you going 100 miles an hour, and you thought it might have been a cop ambush, and he jumped out talking shit while you telling him to get away from the bridge, while you telling him to get on the ground, and then next thing you know, he reaches in the car and grab a child. So the policeman didn't shoot him. He tried to reason with him, and now the little girl was thrown over the edge. But the man who was sitting in the fucking parking lot, nobody tried to reason with him. What do you guys think of this story? You think my take is right or wrong? This is another episode to me of men not being viewed as human, but men being viewed as savages. Men being viewed as brutal. And that's why when you saw the beginning of that video, you saw what they did. We'll show it again. Look at the face they put on him. Look at the graphic that they have right there. And the thing is, you see all those scratches on his face? Where do you think those scratches came from? This child fighting for her life. I don't think it was the police. I think it was a child. I think it was a child. Look how small the cuts are. Look how small the scratches are. I think it was his kid. At a certain point, that child realizes something's not right. And any of you guys have children, when you try to take your kids towards a high place or the corner of a bridge or something, I have a picture of my daughter and I at the Grand Canyon. Look at how Alex is holding me. Alex didn't want to have anything to do with going to that edge to take that picture. Alex wanted nothing to do with that. If you watch that picture, you see she was afraid and was holding me as tight as she could, and we weren't on the edge. She just saw the edge of that Grand Canyon. She wasn't having it. How many of y'all got kids and you can tell anytime you take them somewhere and you try to hold them up on something that's high, they ain't trying to have it. They will fight you over that. So I get a little bit emotional about this one because I got girls, and then I just can't imagine people doing something to children. But you know what's funny? No matter what a man does to a child, he's a fucking monster. When a woman does something to a child, she's a mental case.
They didn't look like you.
Well, they've got darker eyes than me. I have almost no body hair, and the boys have got very dark hairs on their legs and things like that. But